So
So he asked,
he appreciates it, but like that's my thing. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. So he asked you to just stick around, even though it's a little bit longer of a day for you.
Yeah, it's it becomes a longer day for sure. But like I said, he appreciates me, and like that's my bread and butter, like the football guy. So I don't really mind it as much. Um, so and he busts their balls, like if they be on time the whole nine, because Depp's there for doing us a favor to wait around. So it's mutual, I guess you could say.
That's good. Yeah, that's
Most
good.
definitely. So the so yeah, I don't know what you wanna. I guess.
I'm gonna
Um,
jump in. I'm gonna jump in. You got it rolling. So welcome everybody to the Irrelevant Podcast. If you don't know the famous naming behind the Irrelevant Podcast, the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Deppen, right there. He is the one that came up with or gave us the inspiration for the name of the podcast. So Mark's been on before. Mark was our first guest actually. So we've kind of came full circle here, and we're happy to have Mark back on. New Jersey's finest, obviously, one of the best strength coaches around that you'll find. So, Mark, thanks for taking your time again away from your busy schedule and giving some of us your time, and we appreciate you coming on, dude.
well, thank you for the kind words. Yes, it's a pleasure to do these things because it's a voice with like-minded individuals like you, both of you guys. So that's what's pretty cool about it. Because sometimes guys like us don't really get to express ourselves too much because we're kind of as they say, the dark siders. So it's an honor and a privilege to be able to go on these podcasts and let people know there's good things going on with the conjugate training for sure.
Yeah, so well, I'll just jump right in with my first question. I don't think anything has really dramatically changed in your training probably since the last time we talked. You're still the you're still doing a lot of the same things that you do and some of the conjugate things that you do, and it's really hard to. I did notice there for a while you started showing a little bit more insight into some of the training that you did, but it's just good old same old stuff that you've done forever that you know gets the results. So is there anything new or anything you're trying or anything that's going into the program or being taken out of the program or anything that you feel necessary to share about?
Well, I think that I wouldn't say that like anything really that new has really been initiated into the program. I mean, I guess it's funny because I just had this conversation with Matt from Elite when I met him down in Atlantic City, and he was like, "What's crazy, dude, is like you're like this full blown like conjugate, like a West Side High School version from every sport to your powerlifting team, whatever." And I guess I sit back and I go, that's really just all I know. I mean, that's what I learned from all my visits to Louis Simmons and just the way that we when I was at the school Glen Mills and we packaged this learning and experience all together and saw the results, and basically I just brought that model here to which was once Monsignor Donovan, then became Donovan Catholic, in a different atmosphere and a different culture, and I kind of had to build this culture here to where it is today, which is a winning attitude program, working hard. Everything comes through this weight room. The championships come through here. I mean, it's point blank. I mean, anybody that's won a championship, either a number of their kids that were in the program, maybe not the whole team, and then the teams that have won, that have brought their entire team into the weight room program for 365, 24/7. It starts here. And that's just an awesome thing that they believe in, and the program believe in myself. But I always go back to that one thing I always say. I know you guys see it all the time, and I'll say it on guys who are successful. Results don't lie. I mean, you can't really pretend to be good at something. You can't really falsify records and falsify who you are, because you can look everybody up nowadays, Google or talk with people or something, and you know listen, I know that some people would say, "Hey, man, that dude's stuck in his ways. He can be an asshole. He can be whatever." But the one thing that I can probably say about myself that people can never take away is he is true to what he believes, and he puts it out there. Regardless of what you may, I'm not really here to make friends. I'm here to protect my job, train athletes, make them the best that they can possibly be. Hopefully win a lot of games or win some titles, break some powerlifting records, and 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 put this school out there on the map in every way, shape, or form, so that the kids can be proud of it. Plus myself, and you know, so I guess that's been my my platform for I'll be going on 25 years now here. And that's kind of like been my platform. I will say, when you ask like what maybe I've changed, I kind of maybe went back to some things I got away from that I felt were a a big staple in my program or in my training years ago. Um, Such as kind of like standing on two boxes, like kind of like a belt squat thing with the dip belt hanging down with some weight on it, getting nice and deep. Laura Phelps did a lot of those with Louie or whatever, and a couple of, I mean, like those things kind of helped a lot of my kids get very flexible and mobile. There's things like that I used to do. The pen presses for overhead pen pressing from a nose level to eye level. Just I felt built a lot of girth in your shoulders, and helps you increase your bench press. So just some things I feel were an old time West Side philosophy and training methods that kind of like went away because they just did. I think kind of some things I'm starting to circle back around with that I felt that were beneficial. I have logs from myself from like 1987, 1990, 91 that I look back on some things that I did
That's awesome.
to be strong, and things I did in the program. But for the most part, I'm a straight, novice conjugate. A varsity level conjugate is part of a program, and then basic advance is someone who's full, doing a lot of bands, a lot of chains, whatever. So I kind of break my system down. Where in the past I kind of didn't maybe do it that way, kind of just like kind of winged it and did whatever. Now I kind of have like a kind of like a system of intermediate, novice to a little bit of a varsity guy that can handle a little more volume, um, a little more weight, a little more different exercises, to the individual who's my advanced athlete or my power lifter. So I would say that kind of changed. I guess you could say getting a little more organized.
There you go.
If you've been here, and I know Sherrard had the opportunity to come in during the day, and a couple guys that train with me and help out my powerlifting team, some old heads, and they're amazed at like how I just shout out numbers and go around the room. Like if you went to West Side, Louis, just there's really no rhyme or reason, but the guy knows everyone's bench. He knows what they board pressed 4 weeks ago. He knows what they may have pen pulled 3 weeks ago, and that's like me. So I guess the one thing I've been working on lately and changing is probably being a little more organized in a way that kids can see it, if that makes sense,
Yeah,
instead of just being
absolutely.
up in my brain.
Yeah.
Because the kids want to know, like, well, why am I doing this or whatever? And instead, 10 years ago, I'd have been like, don't worry about it, just do what I tell you to do. To
Right.
now, like, I want the kids to learn and give me some feedback, and I give them some feedback of why they're doing certain things, and we don't do this or that, what we need to do. And so I would say that's been probably the only new thing, because you know again, I talking with Matt, like I'm just is there a day where you think like you'll change? There's the day I change is the day I'm probably done. I mean, I sound like Louis, like, I'm gonna die here at West Side or whatever, and he basically did. Um, it's kind of like I probably would be the day I walk away from here when they say, "Hey, old timer, it's time for you to go," or it would be the day that would be my change. Is probably leaving here. I don't think that I could ever really change what I do, because I mean, the results are there. I got people doing better in sports each year. I got people making my board that hasn't been broken in 10, 15 years, who 3 kids and a female broke the board this year, my all-time
Wow.
board. So something must be working.
Right.
And other sports are starting to, buy in the wrestling and things. So I mean, it's it's just one of those things where I live and die by it, man. That's all I really can say. I live and die by it. And people can criticize the conjugate, West Side, Louis, whatever. And, that's usually the people that I want to challenge every day. Like when we play football games here, man, I tell you, and I just found this out, an opponent we're playing, and they're really not even going to the weight room, but like once or twice a week. And someone posted a kid's workout up, and it was like a lot of like Olympic lifting with some, leg extensions, leg curls. And I just said, I just can't wait to play them because we're going to kick the shit out of them. I can't wait. And
Awesome.
and it's a team that really thinks they're going to beat us, and probably handily beat us. And I just that's my I just strive off of that. Like just knowing that's what a lot of people think. And softball was supposed to be dead this year. Could have been a better season, but hey, Jules was a lot of the team last year. When you have pitching
Right.
like that, that's huge.
Right.
And but they still went to the semifinals, had a phenomenal year. Um, we could probably get into that. I'm sure it's probably going to be one of your questions.
Well, that's you. Your culture is something that, like, you, I mean, you talk about it, just next kid, next kid, next kid, next kid, next kid. And Jules did some pretty phenomenal stuff with the world. Like she was doing breaking world records and those powerlifting meets, if I'm not mistaken. And
Yes.
now it seems like you have that next wave of girls coming up. I saw a few of them that you posted about lifting and things like that. So, I mean, it's a testament to your culture and to your system. There is no down season, or you have no off season. And I hear a lot of coaches talk about, like, well, we're just down this year. We're down. We don't have this. We don't have that. But insert a system like yours and something that, kids know is going to be consistent, and that it's going to be the same, and it's going to make you better. You don't have a down year, or a down year is just slightly down compared to what they expect. But, so you got any more of those Jules type people coming through? I'm sure you do.
Well, what's funny is, so if you go to a softball game and you look on the field, all 9 starters are from the powerlifting team.
Good
That just
Lord.
speaks volume.
Yeah.
Or a handful of girls that maybe come in the game or DH or whatever are from my class, the strength and conditioning class, who have come through the class or whatever. So it's just, that's a big, huge reward. But yeah, so this year, 5 or 6 of the power lifters that competed in powerlifting meets, and either competed and did very well with PRs or broke a few records, whatever. All were like first, second team all shore, first, second team honorable mention all state. And I posted a girl yesterday, Janex, who was the MVP of the shore conference of Ocean County. Emily Kerr took Jules off the board. The catcher
Wow.
with the 405 deadlift took Jules off the board with her deadlift. Everything else was pretty matched up, and then the deadlift was huge, but just competitiveness. And Jules' sister Gianna had a phenomenal year as like a slap hitter. I think her on percentage base was like 90%. She was fast, confident. Also a girl with a nice state record of like a 285-pound deadlift at 114 pounds. Strong all the way around. So
Wow.
it's just so I would say it was more of a team this year effort, with a lot of girls who were from the powerlifting team that made the softball team very good and excelled. Um, and it's just awesome to see. I go out to the games and it's like, hey, I need to get my daughter with you. Like the kids aren't really into the powerlifting or into the scene yet. And those parents are approaching like, hey, I got to get my daughter in your class or get her on that powerlifting team. Hey, Depp, great job with my kids. I mean, that's just awesome to hear. You show up and you're like, and people are like kind of coming up to you and, really congratulate you on helping their child's success in the game.
Right.
Um, so that's a pretty awesome an awesome thing. Football. This will be a rebuilding type year. We actually kind of lost some kids to the high school transfer portal type deal. I lost we had the kid I called the Black Knight, the big running back.
Yeah.
He left and went
Yeah.
up. He left and went up to Bergen Catholic. Um, so I had Louis leave, the 430-pound bench presser.
Oh my.
We actually play against them. So we had some kids that kind of took a leap into the transfer portal thing for greener pastures, maybe. But again, I'm here, and every day these kids come in here, and I go, we're on a mission, and they believe. They believe in what I'm telling them, and that's the biggest culture that I built here. And as you guys both know, I believe the conjugate program is the best for underdogs because you're challenging yourself every day you're in the weight room. And I believe that's the biggest success. Like today, a lot of kids are going to be out there doing board pressing and whatever, and they're going to be in groups and they're going to be getting after it. And I just think that's the biggest confidence builder that conjugate does is that. And hey, I think we're gonna have a good season. We have a great staff, and I think that we're gonna have a lot of people who doubt us, not really doubt us too much after the first part of the schedule this year. As long as we stay healthy, for sure. So like I said, I would say, my powerlifting team, I had the kid, a couple of kids and a girl go out in nationals and place third, which is huge. That's the mecca of powerlifting in Louisiana, my friends. It was every past name coaching the kids, that I knew from back in my day, to, um, just some serious lifting, man. I've been trying to really pinpoint it, but you got kids there was a kid there 165 squatting like 650, man, at like 17 years old, and I'm like, when did this kid start lifting? When he was 12? Like,
Wow.
and that's a kind of a conversation. I've been looking the podcast up. Is this like what is a lot of these kids I'm getting now would be going into ninth grade, or we'll get a transfer kid or whatever, and I feel like I work miracles with those kids, really. And but some of the numbers out there are just crazy, and that goes back to what you asked, like, is there anything new or have you changed? Listen, some people are freaks. um some people are gifted in the sport of strength and powerlifting, or just in the different sports in general. And you know I'm going to do what I know what to do. I'm not going to, like, I keep on going back, I'm not going to pretend that I know something that I don't know. um I know a lot of you guys are into, the jumping and different things like that. That's not really something that I really know a lot about to be into. So I'm not going to like go on here posting like, oh, I had a kid do this or that, when I probably would sound like foolish because I probably wouldn't even know what I was talking about
Right.
on some. Am I opposed to it, or I am not. But it is funny because I know, holding dumbbells, jumping on plyometric boxes and things, a way of explosion. Dude, I was doing that back here in like 99, 2001 with kids. Because I saw Louis doing it at Westside with maybe even might even been like Dave Tate and a couple guys like holding like 50-pound dumbbells and jumping up on like a 14, 16-inch box for explosion. And Louis said, you got to do these with the athletes. So some of the things I see now, I just chuckle and laugh. I go, man, I was doing that shit years ago. And I know sometimes a lot older than some of the guys, but I'm like, man, this ain't new. This is something that has been evolved, I guess you could say. This evolved in the later generation.
Right.
But I don't knock it.
All that stuff's in his book. Like, the explosive strength, building explosive strength book, all those jumps are in there. The hurdles are in there, the boxes are in there, the dumbbell progressions are in there, the kettlebell progressions are there, all that stuff's in there. So yeah, there's no reinventing the wheel, it's just, I think finding staying true to what works for you and finding a system that works for you, and not just panicking and copying, pasting the next new thing that you see here, there, everywhere. Have a system in place that you're not making overwhelmingly big changes, but you might say, okay, this need to be like what you're talking about. You went back and looked at some stuff that you'd done a long time ago and inserted them back in. You're not changing the whole system. You're just implementing things that work. So, a lot of coaches don't do that, I don't think.
No, and I think, I mean, I guess with me here really is is technique before you can kind of move on. I feel a lot of people missed the boat on that. And just for me, it just doesn't sit right. I can't really turn my head when I maybe see a kid, um, box squatting kind of wrong, or a kid doing a rack pull wrong, or even a bench wrong, or whatever. And that's what everybody says. Like I don't really just post my best stuff. Like everyone, if you come here, looks the way they do on my Instagram. Most of the people, especially who should look that way. Yeah, you might find a freshman that's still learning who needs to, arch a little more on the bench, or, this and that. I mean, that is what it is. But I think like, like Big Grony always says, and a couple old heads dudes dining on her, like, man, like it's crazy to see, like, you got girls or these young athletes that you're teaching phenomenal technique with, and it's just a pleasure to watch, like someone do a proper box squat and come up with, like, 200 pounds on her back, a young softball player, and you're saying this is why she's the MVP, or you're like proving your point of why this person is achieving this. And I think that's one of my biggest things when I say I'm not going to change anything, because I always got a reason, a rhyme and a reason behind why this person was successful, and I can prove it. Um, so I think that's actually probably one of the biggest the biggest deals here, is again the proof in the proof in the pudding. And then the numbers. I mean, right now I'm holding like 16 people on the powerlifting team. Um, the powerlifting team that are coming in the summer, and football, we got 100% right now, dude. I mean, that's on someone believing in your program, because that's very hard. That I talk to guys, I'm in the business. I know a lot of people, and they're like, dude, you get every football player there every day. I go, Monday through Friday, man. Every day we have at least 99% attendance rate here. And that, I know that's the
That's
coach too.
nuts. Yeah.
He stands behind me 1,000%. He'll ask me who isn't here, and he calls them on the phone at that moment. Um, so I mean, that's what's awesome about it, and it makes the job fulfilling. And listen, we had administrative change here. New principal I was currently with, was someone I was really close with and built a relationship over the years with, who hired me and brought me in. And we brought in a lady. Her name is Miss Jill Kelly from New York, Staten Island. And a lot of people are like, oh, you guys are going to clash, whatever. I mean, she's been phenomenal for me. I mean, she's asked me what I need, what I want to do. I mean, if you guys saw what's happening in my weight room right now, you'd be like, dude, you're kidding me, right? I'm getting like 4 pieces of equipment. I got diamond plate going all the way around with golden trim. I'm getting the back turfed out.
Holy
um,
moly.
and it's just, but I mean, I believe the relationship gelled together with administration, because she saw like my passion. Like, this isn't what I'm telling you guys right now, isn't about me. It's about these kids, and they just feel when they come in here, they're like, Depp, what is that we got new or something? And they feel like whatever it is, it must work because Depp got it. And that's just like a awesome feeling. Hell, I was even talking. I said, man, I really wish I could build this place out. And they're like, what? And I said, I really wish I could build it out. It could be a little bigger. And I mean, I probably have the best weight room in the state of New Jersey by far. Especially conjugate wise. I mean, someone could have some prime fitness equipment all around the weight room, but as far as you're coming here to get strong, I definitely probably have the best equipped weight room in the state of New Jersey for sure. High school, definitely for high school. So like I said, that's been a match made in heaven with the administration. I can't say enough of great things about the principal here, and the athletic director works with me. Admissions, I mean, they bring tours through here, and they bring them here first. We have like a transfer or an 8th grade wanting to come check out the school. They come right here. They let me spend 15, 20 minutes talking about the program, the class, touring the building. I mean, it's just awesome. I mean, but again, I think that a lot of people who are in charge kind of see, my passion for what I do. I mean, hell, I mean, I'm here all the time, man. The people around here goes, this dude ever leave? Like
Yeah.
he's
Hmm.
here all the time. So so yeah, I'm blessed that way. I'm definitely blessed. I'm definitely blessed here with a very supportive backing, because I know a lot of guys out there in my position aren't so lucky. And it's a shame because it's a big deal. I know Zach Evenash has talked to me about, we can't believe that there's just a handful of us, a dozen of us, handful of us in the state of New Jersey as certified strength coaches in a high school. And the rest is just the coaches running the weight rooms. I mean, the kids I get here and I ask them questions about where they come from, they transfer in. I go, "What'd you do there?" And it's just like a horror story, dude. Like when they tell me it, I just kind of like, it's like when somebody takes their nails and go across a chalkboard. That's that's what I feel when they start talking to me about what they were doing in their weight room, and then with 40 or 50 kids in like a 3,000 square foot weight room. Um, it's I just feel like the strength field is not. I don't know how it is where you guys are from, but here it's not really been much change in that. So I don't know if you guys in your high school sector, like, is it football coaches and guys running your weight
Right.
rooms and things like that? And I mean,
Right.
I,
Yeah.
I just find it to be, crazy, man. I just,
Yep.
you know,
It's a lot of that. It's a lot of that. I just got hired at a school, really, really small school. Like we're talking 80 kids in the entire high school, like very tiny
really,
school.
uh,
But they wanted me to come on because of the background with strength and conditioning, because they've just been getting their tails kicked left and right. And they knew the strength and conditioning is the X factor, but they didn't know where to start. And so like one of their questions was, they're like, how early will you start like letting kids lift and train and do things like that? And I'm like, well, if you'll let me do it in seventh grade and eighth grade and sixth grade PE classes, I'll just turn those PE classes into weight classes and we'll just go from there. And they're like, oh, they can lift that early? And I'm like, yeah, man, you teach them the
yeah, you don't want to
foundations.
stunt their growth.
Yeah. You teach them foundations. And then when they get to high school, they have a good foundation and a good base. And then you can actually start moving some weights. But yeah, they came in this summer and they're very, very far behind. But the kids worked hard. They were great. They brought energy and effort, and they were excited. But we have a long way to go. Let's just put it that way. So strength and conditioning is lacking pretty far behind in the schools. In the smaller schools for sure, but some of the big schools they have some certified coaches. But yeah, it's pretty far behind.
Yeah, we all say certified, but can they coach, right? Well, everybody puts those
Right.
initials after their name, 3 or 4 different things, and Buddy Mars says it best. He could care less about all that, like asking him to take a test now, and he's been in the business as long as he has been. I mean, that's just to me like the joke part of it. You got to practice what you preach. You got to live by what you're doing. So I mean, yeah, I'll hear that too. Like, oh, I heard did you see the guy that so and so hired or whatever? And I'm just like, and I'll, maybe say something like, that guy's a clown, right? And they're like, oh, well, he's at the University of Notre Dame, Depp. How's he a clown? I'm like, okay. I was like, well, I guarantee you I could take maybe 3 or 4 of you out of this building right here and pound for pound, be stronger than the kids that he has there. How about
Right.
that?
Right.
Well, we're talking lifting, not football or gymnastics or whatever. I'm like, no, I'm just talking lifting. But if you're in that, how can I bring high school kids to come in there and out train your guys? I don't know how good you're doing. Um, because I know if I would be at Notre Dame, I would have, if I was able to do what I do here. I know it's a whole different story in college. Don't get me wrong. I've got a lot of friends and it's a lot different, but I would have those guys just as strong as I have the young teenage kids here. I would have them just as strong. So I know that's an argument I get sometimes too. The time frame, how could you conjugate if you're in college, whatever? You can do it, man. You got to want to work. You got to want to work. That's the bottom line. That I think that's my biggest asset here is that I work. Like I love what I do, and I got a chip on my shoulder. Not every day. I want to be the best I can be. I got the coach of the year thing and all that, and it's a big deal around here. And I said it's not good enough. I said I need to get better. And the principal actually goes, "How could you get any better than that?" I said, "Oh, don't you worry." I said I got a lot of tricks up my sleeve. If you could just keep supporting me, and doing the things I want to bring into the weight room, the people I want to hire, the people I want to surround myself with, I'm gonna make things happen. And and that's where the people appreciate it because, listen, great. It was a great award, and like I said, I wrote it like a wave in Hawaii, and but it's kind of over with now. It's time to move on. It was good at the time, and got to post it all over and do whatever. But you got to continue to be good. I'm sure that they get this and get that, and all of a sudden you don't hear from them 5 years from now. you know, um, you know what I'm saying, like the latest fad
Yep.
program or
Yep.
something, and whatever happened to so and so, and you find out he's like a ShopRite, married with like 8 kids, and he doesn't do the things he used to do or whatever. That's you know, it's unfortunate, but there are a lot of people like that in our field, believe it
Oh
or
yeah.
not.
Yeah. It's
And to go back on a point, talking with a few guys last week that I was talking to, and I was talking about the coaches running a weight room, or the coaches, that we're doing things old school or whatever. And I said, you know what, being a guy in my position, a guy in your guy's position, and then what's frustrating and what's demoralizing is I devoted my last 33 years of my life to what I'm doing right now. And like, I dare you come in and say, okay, if I'm the field hockey coach, I'm going to be in here doing this, doing that. You're not going to be doing any of that in here. I'm the strength coach. You're a field hockey coach. You're not a field hockey / strength and conditioning coach. You're not a football / strength and conditioning coach. Your job is to win games, produce athletes, hopefully get kids into college or whatever, and coach your sport. My job is to get the kids healthy, get them strong, produce for you on the field, whatever it may be, the wrestling mat. That's my job. And that's the discussion I have where, man, some of these people just think like, and I'm saying this because someone did come in here who was looking for a job and kind of like rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm kind of like, I look over at my athletic director and I said, we for real right now? And he goes, oh, I'll talk to you, whatever. Like, but he knew like I was pissed off. And guys like us have been in for a long time, old heads and guys that are, getting in it for a few years now and busting their ass. Like it's just an insult. I don't know how you guys feel, but like that's just me how I feel when I kind of feel we all know this profession is underappreciated 1,000%. In the in your pockets and out in the world. And and what's funny is Buddy used to say we spend almost 365 days with these athletes, and these other coaches spend like 100 days with them, but they're making twice as much money and getting twice as much respect from the world. And
right.
that's just so true, man.
Yep.
So I tell people, you want to make a lot of money, this ain't the place. And the guys that are making a lot of money in this field are in the buddy system. That's the bottom line. That's just how it works. You got to sacrifice a lot to try to make some money in this business out,
Right.
being a strength and conditioning coach for sure. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Alex, what you got, brother?
Mark, what do you think helps so much with the buy-in to your program when you get new people that come in? Because like I have a powerlifting team I help, and getting these kids to buy in is probably the hardest part. Like the training part seems pretty easy once they buy in, but the initial buy-in, it seems is leaps and bounds more difficult than actually getting them to train.
So I would say the buy-in is for one here. If a kid is kind of knows, I would say is the tradition that's here, the culture that they're kind of stepping into, um the the um the atmosphere, the weight room itself, the banners that I have now like hanging up from the rafters. um and I would say um the buy-in would be confidence. So as I told you before, like not everybody is a superstar that I get in here. And that's when I say coaching really comes into play to see who can really coach. I mean, because let's be for real, if we all had a bunch of Walter Paytons, we'd be geniuses. You know what I mean? I mean, it'd be a cakewalk. But I would say for some of the skeptic kids that I would get in my setting is building their confidence up by a lot of things that they can accomplish. Like let's just use example. I'll say maybe holding a fat bell and doing a box squat, like legitly, doing a box squat the best they can at that, progressing to maybe the SS yoke bar onto a box, and just the confidence I see in them. And then they just start believing in themselves and believing what's happening around them. Because let's be for real, dude, no one's putting this. We put time in with our kids, and no one else is doing that. There's not a coach out there putting you in a 3-point stance 50,000 times, right? But we will probably put that kid in position a million times in the box squat. We're probably going to fix their form. Even by their senior year, we're still probably correcting, something with their form in the box, the deadlift, the bench. Something still isn't sitting right with us. So I would say the biggest buy-in definitely is the confidence, the production, um, the self-esteem that is built in the kids. And number one I will say is they know you believe in them. Like the kids, I think they come. I mean, like I said, dude, I just had 3 or 4 kids, unfortunately, not going to go out for their other sport anymore. They wanted to stick with powerlifting. And I let those kids make that decision. And I said, what made you that decision? She goes, you care about us, Depp. You care about like what we're doing in here. And dude, that just speaks volume. And I'm not, I didn't rehearse it. I didn't give them a piece of paper to read off of. I just said, what makes you want to stick this out and do it? And they're just like, I really like it. I like it. You believe in us. Like I just really like what's this doing for my life. So I would say that is definitely the biggest buy-in, because you get to see where that kid started at, and then where they end up at or finish up at is this, like, you can't even put like money on that. That's just a priceless reward. Um, and for me here, the teachers that know some of the kids that are on the powerlifting team are the less fortunate, and they go, did that kid Johnny really squat like 265 pounds at a powerlifting meet? I didn't even know he could lift a box off the theater stage. And I'm like, yeah, he did. I go, he's going to be actually a pretty decently strong kid for 165 pounds. And, you know, and the people are blown away by it. So I would say that is um, the self-confidence is the biggest attribute. I'd say it is mine here. And like I said, the culture that I kind of built around here, just like if you and I, we went in, we went to Alabama and for football and toured the thing. I mean, we'll probably all get goosebumps and want to start, running around in the friggin' weight room and run out to the field and do a 40, just because that feeling of adrenaline. Like I'm not that I'm Alabama here, or I'm the mecca of powerlifting or strength and conditioning, but just the kids know that this is serious. Like they're in a series where I'm dressed the same as the kids, the Converse shorts, the shirt coming in the same. I'm in uniform, so I guess I just think that speaks a lot to the kid. So I would say that's definitely the biggest buy-in, and you know who's with you and who's without you. I probably know within the couple of months if someone's going to be with me or someone's going to fade. And
Right.
I'll let a kid like kind of like fade out on their own type thing, because strength training for a sport or doing powerlifting is a very difficult thing to keep up on. I mean, I'm 55 now. I mean, shit, I've had surgery, whatever, and I'm still trying to get after it. It's you can't get away from it. It's like an adrenaline. It's like a drug. But I mean, it's hard, man. It's hard to keep up with it. Lose weight, gain weight. I want to eat good. I eat bad. I don't want to drink anymore. Make it fun in here for the kids. I mean, I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, he's got to be like a ball buster there." Like, there's times where we have some fun when we can, when we need to make it fun. But for the most part, I like to, the kids know. Like, it's fun. My locker room is a closed locker room. They go in, get changed, the door closes. And I'll be like, 10 more minutes, guys, whatever, that sort of thing. And they know, like, yo, let's hurry up, man. Depp gonna come here freaking out. Like, so there's not really like any bullying, grab ass, and anything like that that's going to be going on, because they kind of know it's not going to be tolerated down here. So setting boundaries, I think, is a big buy-in too. Setting the boundaries of your facility or your school, I think is huge, and not letting anyone break those boundaries, regardless if they're your best lifter, they're your best athlete, because then the kids are going to feel unappreciated. I found that out a long, long time ago, given some leeway sometimes, that the kids will feel, pretty much unappreciated. And they're going to come in with the wrong shoes next time and say, stick it up your ass, coach, because you didn't care when so-and-so did it. So that's definitely, so I'd say that's my biggest buy-in. Definitely. Do you feel like there's something that you feel, Alex, like, with the buy-in that kids are resisting? Do you feel
So
what
with
they're
the powerlifting
resisting?
team, we're making transitions to make it more like a team. Where like last year at CU, it was like a bunch of individuals who just signed up for a club. Like when we went to nationals, it wasn't a very good team feeling. So like we created tiers to where they have to like pay dues and stuff, because we need to have them have some skin in the game, and then it also allows us to be able to afford travel and things like that. And then we tried to make it to where they were only coached by the people on the team staff. And oh Jesus Christ, did they throw a bitch fit? And it wasn't everybody, but there were like a few individuals that just were bitching and moaning and crying about, well, it's powerlifting, we should be able to be coached by who we want, blah blah. And just so like we made a compromise with that. But I was like, all right, if you don't want to be coached by us, then you have a list of expectations and things you have to do every month to stay on the team. Like there is no like you just get to do whatever the fuck you want anymore. And that's where we're just in a transitionary period where the old people are adverse to change, and I'm sure the new people won't give a shit. But it's just funny to see, because we're trying to
Yeah.
make it an actual good culture of working hard, lifting hard, getting good results, and actually making it to nationals more consistently, as opposed to it's just a social club.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can see that. It makes a lot of sense. Definitely. Definitely does.
Mark,
Oh,
you got something, Alex? Go ahead if you want.
no, you're good. Go ahead.
So I have the task. You kind of mentioned it earlier about how you conjugate doesn't work in school settings or college settings or whatever. I was just going to ask you, with your class settings, how long are your classes? And then I'll follow up with that question of what would a basic structure look like for you if you only had about 40 minutes in a class time period? Because that's what I'm looking at this year coming up in the school that I'm going to work in. I get about 40 minutes with these kids a day. And that I would say that 40 minutes is probably, it's really like 50, but you know how it is. They got to change.
Yeah.
Then they got to change back out, so I'm going to say give or take 35, 40 minutes to do training and to do good training. What does your schedule kind of look like as far as time is concerned? And then if you had kind of what I'm looking at, how would you just kind of basically structure that?
Okay. I'm fortunate we're on a flex schedule, so I get 75 minutes, and the kids
Awesome.
have to come directly out the back door of the school down to my weight room, which is a 2-minute walk. And they get like, 5-10 minutes to really get in the locker room and get out. Like I was saying, they get in, they'll hear me out there and let's go, guys. So I'm fortunate enough to have a very much adequate amount of time
Right.
to do what I need to do with any kind of conjugate, like a max effort day, a speed day. Speed day, I kind of keep it around 35 to 40 minutes, like a legit speed day. 50, 55 minutes with the max effort. Could go a little over for the big dogs that can, like, put a couple extra board press sets in there because they killed it or something.
Right.
I also went to this year having like a road clock up, so I can say, hey, we got 45 minutes or whatever, boom. So I guess you could say that's something new that I went to, just to have the horn go off and get kids moving. And it's actually something that a couple kids said, I really like that. It puts a little pressure on me. So me, I'm like kind of like, really, guys, like I could just be yelling, but instead I had to buy a $150 clock. So I've been fortunate enough to be able to, like I said, structure a main exercise, couple assistant exercises, some special strength exercises, maybe followed up with some abdominal work and that sort of thing in all my workouts because of that time frame. So if you want to, say the 40-minute time frame thing, like a legit 40 minutes, I would definitely, because I do have that kind of, I do kind of get that a little bit with my in-season lifting.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
My football guys are about that. I get them at like 235 and they kind of got to be out on the field like 310.
Right.
So, but I do stay on top to make sure that they're moving for one, and getting into the groups or place, being very organized and structured.
Right.
Because I know, like you're saying, I know that time frame. And I would say if you want to take my football program, because it'd be the same type of program. I know NC's I'm a little less volume and all that kind of stuff, but I kind of still stick it to a routine that is conjugate, all the way through. It's just like
Right.
I said, less volume, different percentage. So I think so how I set it up is according to the individuals that I'm going to have on the I'm going to stick to football if that's okay, because it's
Yeah.
instead of the class. So if I had my football guys, I'd stick it to the individuals that I was going to have broken down by. I break a lot of things down here by trying to think of the word, kind of by experience,
Sure.
kind of by their strength levels, a varsity starter to maybe a backup to a partial starter. And I kind of group things together like that. So I kind of, again, more structure, more organization, because I know how it's going to have to kind of be run on that time frame. And I will make sure that on, so let's say max effort days, let's say we're gonna warm up on the bench and then hit right to a boards or a shoulder saver pad, red or black. So I'm kind of still keeping that. I'm still keeping that max effort day, even if I had 70 minutes. I'm still keeping what I want to do. This might be a little different volume, but for you, I would stick to that same routine.
Right.
Where I'm going to try to maybe hit like a 3-rep max with the black shoulder saver that day, followed up by some accessory work. Two or three accessory things, maybe something a special strengths I call, like, hey, their triceps are lacking, shoulder, something like that, where you see where they need to build their shoulders up. I'm going to add something extra in there. And I think the main thing that I do in here during that time when it changes up, because like I said, during class, I got that luxury right now. I got 55, 65 minutes with the football guys before they go to practice. It's probably a 45-minute workout. And so I got a luxury, but when I
Right.
got those guys after school, bro, because I know also that girls soccer is going to be coming in, I'm on task with making sure they're not talking, they're not BSing anything, and that they're getting to that workout. And I felt in that 40 minutes after school is the same as that 75 minutes, if that explains it to you. It's just
Yeah.
that it's
Yeah.
a little more structured and a little more, hey, let's get moving, instead of me giving them maybe 3-minute breaks. A couple guys are doing board pressing and they're kind of like talking about last night a little bit, wrapping their wrist up with their wrist wraps, and then kind of like getting to do what they need to do. I'm more so probably walking around the room like like a junkyard dog in the junkyard, kind of and making sure they're staying on task.
Yeah.
So I haven't really had that problem and not be able to accomplish a conjugate type program either with 40 minutes or with the 75 minutes.
Right.
This one is probably more diligent structured, whereas the other one has a little more leeway to give a little bit longer breaks and maybe, add some spice to it with, hey, I'll let you do some abs, or I'll let you go, I'll let you go out and do the war wagon and push it for a little bit, because we got that kind of time. But I always feel like it could be done, because like I said, I do it with the football program, the same thing that you'll be facing with school. But I just think that you have to establish that right off the get-go.
Right.
Like these guys came in today and I know we were setting up, but they came in and my assistant Eddie went out with the workout, they grabbed them and everybody's going to work.
Right.
Like they're, because their added bonus here now is when they get done, they got 35, 40 minutes, they can go to Wawa off the street. So like they're like, yo, like they're like, like they know that if they get their workout done, they can go up and like maybe grab a snack or something to drink before practice.
Right,
So
right. That was my kind of
so
my thought too, is like, if you're looking at a 5 day a week split for somebody, is get the main work done in that 35 to 40 minutes, get what they need. And then almost use like the next day as kind of that special strengths or small exercises or a small workout or accessory workout. And then go back to a big one on Wednesday. And then again, hit their accessory work or their special exercises that they need on Thursday. And then do another big one on Friday, and then just kind of keep that revolving door of that 5 days just to get the most and to maximize the most out of their time for sure. So
no,
I've
I like that. That's a great that's a great a great plan too. That I might that I some of the so a couple kids in some of my classes, we have what we call like a catapult program. They go for help or something.
yeah,
I may only get them for 40 minutes
got you.
until they got to go to help, or I'll get them from the extra help. They'll come down and they'll be like, "Yo, coach, can I get dressed? I got like 40 minutes or whatever." And we get dressed, and they may do like I said, maybe they're gonna do like a 5 rep max bench followed up by maybe some palms in dumbbell presses. And if that's what we got in, and then like you said that other day, I may have them hit the triceps, hit
Right.
some back work, things like that. Because the bottom line is it's all getting done. It
Exactly.
might not be
Yeah.
getting done with, having that 7 minute period, but the work volume and what you wanted to accomplish that week can all still get done. So I
Yeah.
guess that's the way that it that's the way that I look at it. When people talk about, well, the only thing we can do in season is have circuits going,
Oh no.
I find that to be lazy for one, because all you gotta do is sit back and blowing a whistle every time when 2 minutes is up and you're going from a pistol squat, and then you're gonna do pull ups with a towel. You're gonna go to this next station and maybe bench press or incline, followed by a trap bar. And to me, it's just absolutely. I don't know how you get strong. I'm saying this because I just watched a kid who transferred here was talking about his program, and I looked it up and I saw that, and I know why this kid is benching 125 pounds in his sophomore year. But
Sure.
I'm like, what are you doing? You getting in shape? Like maybe I should be doing that to get in shape or whatever. But how are you possibly getting strong in the off season doing that? So, and I guess that's the part of me where I want to just get in somebody's brain and say, what are you looking to accomplish here?
Right.
Because I don't really get it. Like I always tell the people here that come and they go and they want to ask me why I do what I do or whatever, and I can give an explanation of why I do what I do, and this is why I do it and that sort of thing. And I feel like it helps do this, it helps do that, it translates to this, it translates to that. I can guarantee if I went on tour to all the high schools here and watched them lift and went in and said what I just said, like, why do you do what you do? They would have no idea what I was asking them.
Right.
They just do it. Like you said,
Right.
cookie cutter, internet. LSU did this, whatever.
Yep.
LSU has 95 4-star people on their team. You have one 2-star, and you're doing a LSU program. Next question. I mean, it's just crazy. I just feel like everything's a cop out to
Yeah.
how come we can't do conjugate, or how come we're not going to be able to do that type of programming and that sort of thing. And you know, listen, you guys might not know, but I know the whole story behind conjugate, behind Louis, and that is they look at it like it's just a bunch of juice up guys wearing gear. And Louis was an old quack that had a couple good points about box squatting and this and that, and it doesn't relate to anything in athletics, and it's bullshit. And that's how those guys that are from the era that I'm from, the generation to where it is now. And that's just the bottom line. No one's going to change my mind on it.
Right.
And it's just ignorance. And it's just, you never even when I first went to Westside, I talk about this on every podcast of everybody we know, Bird, Sherrods, everybody, the Brian Bach guy. Listen, when I went there my first time, the first thing that I thought about when I witnessed most of the exercises was football and how it related, every one of those lifts, how it related to the game of football. And I'm even going to take it a step further because this yesterday, we got an old head in here. So a guy's been coaching for a long time. He just joined our staff because he's bored. He's 75 years old, been coaching his whole life. He's absolutely thinks I'm absolutely out of my mind and crazy, but who really doesn't the first time they come here? And he goes to me, he goes, Coach, could I ask you a question? How come you do those box squats there instead of a regular squat and you have those bands hooked up? I just never seen that, if you don't mind me asking. So I explained to him about accommodating resistance, the bands, the whole nine. I said, let me just tell you this, because you're an old time football coach and you've been around a while. Think about that lineman that you see squatting on that box and coming up. Maybe he's taking a 1.5 seconds to come off that box with 275 on the bar. And I think the kid Kai had the gray bands, which maybe he's 6'5", so that's a lot of tension. So let's say he had 200 pounds of tension on there, and he was coming off the box like he was ready to kill someone for his 8 sets of 2. And I said, could you imagine on the field, you don't have none of that on your back, and he gets down in that stance, and all he has to do is think about coming off the ball when he hears set go. And the guy looked over him and goes, that makes a lot of sense, Coach. I go, it makes a lot of sense, bro. That kid is the reason why we're out there and our offensive line mows everyone down, okay? Because we're doing shit like this in here. No one else is doing it, and we are. And man, that's like I said, that's an old time guy who never seen anything like the weight room, how I run it. Comes in here every day observing what's happening, and he comes in today right before we're starting this, and he goes, what are you going to be doing today, Coach? I said, some guys are going to be doing those bands on the bench. He goes, I guess that's for so when you want to punch somebody in the chest and pancake them. I go, you're learning. I mean, come on, dude. I mean, here goes think about it.
Yeah.
Here comes a 75-year-old dude, never seen anything, and he related it right to, a punch press on the when I said about the bench press and with the bands. I mean, I guess that's just the ignorance that I don't understand in the in the strength world is and hey, there's more than one way to skin a cat. I talk about that. There's some people that do a very good job with their other programs and they're strong. Like I took kids to Pals in America, and there was, my kid took third and the girl took third and one of my other kids bombed out. And there were some strong ass people there, right? And look, I know they don't do West Side. I know they might do some type of variation because a lot of people do, but they don't want to admit that it's a conjugate West Side type thing. They think they invented it. But, shook their hand, was like, yo, that kid's strong as shit, man. Congratulations. And, you got a hell of a team, you got a hell of a lifter there. Boom. And, respect where respect is due. I got no problem with that. That's the other thing. People, Depp, whatever. Boom. I got beat by the dude at Rumson Fairhaven. Okay. I know he runs a whole different program than me, and they beat us. Shook his hand after the game. Good job, man. Joe McCullough here. Big time power lifter. Boom. Our rival, RBC. I think he won one, I won one, whatever. You would think we were married after the game, hugging and basically almost kissing in the middle of the field, because it was two guys that kind of had a different philosophy, but two guys who believed in what they were doing. One guy just came out on top that day. And, it's awesome. So, yeah, I know there's different like I said, I know there's different ways to, to produce athletes, whatever, but this is what I know. And I'm only going to knock you when I go in there and see you doing quarter squat and say kid squat at 655 and it's 18 miles high. Kid does a trap bar at 650 deadlift. No, it was a trap bar deadlift. Okay. It wasn't a 650 deadlift. Or this looks terrible. Like I just went on, I made a comment about, I don't know if you guys saw, like at Buffalo, some dude did like a 655 Horton barbell. And the guys at, I think, Buffalo, dude, I think the guy's 181 did like a 655, like triple squat, bro. And I said, that dude's like a modern day Neanderthal. Dude, I've had 7,000 hits on that thing. Like, that's just an awesome squat. I said, that dude's a modern day Neanderthal. That's like incredible. And no shirt, pair of sneakers on with shorts, bro. No belt. 655 for like a triple.
Good night.
He's like 181 pounds. Amazing. I gotta give credit. Like, amazing.
That's nuts.
And I could probably tell you he's far from West Side. He's probably not even one. Is probably, if you said the word conjugate, you probably get thrown out of the weight room. But hey, somebody's doing something right. And but I just know that there's conjugate for everybody if you believe in it and you really just read the books and really think about it, how it can relate here. I don't know if you guys know, but one day I used a power squatter for box squats with a couple kids who, need a lot of work. And Dave Tate and had seen it or whatever, and it was like, yo, dude, that's like genius. Like, I was like, I thought about it, and I said, what could hurt? I mean, that's a great way to try to get a kid to learn how to squat, open up to the box.
Right.
And and that's and that was like the first thing Louis, like I said, talked about when, like, he knew we were all ballers, and when we went to West Side, all the guys, I mean, two of the guys were big time power lifters at that time, Willie Croner and Dave Barno, that were there. And but the rest of it was like, oh, just getting out of football or whatever. And Louis related everything he showed us to football, like, because he knew that was our thing. And every time that I went, even years late, I mean, up to my last time there, 2019, it was football. He could care less about me and powerlifting or me and like what I wanted to do to get strong. It was like, you got to do this with your ball players. Come here, let me show you something. And so I don't understand when people go, it doesn't relate. And I guess I'm glad people don't, because that's how I produce and that's how I win games, or that's how, I come out on top in some ways. So maybe I'm glad people don't believe in it. And, so, I don't know if I went off tangent, but
No, you're good. What do you say to those people that are always like, because in the books you read about all the football players that Louis was working with, or the players in the Packers, and the 40 times dropping and the strength numbers going up and all this stuff. And what do you say? The people are always like, well, that's just novel. It's just novel stimulus. Like, it's just because they've never done it. Louis didn't do anything. It was just, he got them in there. They were already really good, and he just gave them something different to change it up a little bit. What do you say to people like that it really wasn't Louis, it was just them getting something new?
I guess, what I say to them is, two things is, you probably were never there and you never got to really witness what was going on at West Side, because you should have took the time to probably go, and check it out.
Sure.
Again, I know some people maybe were reluctant to do that. Some people maybe felt they wouldn't fit in and do that. Some people maybe were scared to go there and do that, whatever it shall be. But the thing that I share with people is, and I'm talking about more so the Demers days, which would have been the blackout West Side. I never saw human beings, male or female, in my entire life lift the amount of weight that those people were lifting in that weight room. And again, I played Division II football. I had friends Division I. I went on to, try to go pro and been in a lot of different programs, saw some strong dudes, no doubt. But the way that these guys were lifting, they were like, it was like being in jail. I was not fortunate, but I was fortunate enough to be in Grateford Prison at a powerlifting meet one time in a session of lifting out in Pennsylvania when we were at Glen Mills. And you talk about caged animals, bro. I mean, that's what it was. People that love what they were doing. Just like if we went into Brooklyn this weekend at the park, there's going to be 1 million people balling, right? Because they love it, man. They love to get out there and they love the ball, bet money, talk shit, the whole nine. That was those guys at West Side. They just love being the strongest that they could possibly be. And just to see human beings be that strong, I knew that it would produce you as a human being or individual in some way, shape, or form, to not only be a stronger person, a better person, whatever, but if you were an athlete or you were in a sport, you weren't going to tell me it wasn't going to help you. And then when a lot of these people, to kind of go back and answer the question, because again, I got to see strong people and saw what it did, was because like I keep on saying, I can relate to what Louis was doing with those individuals because I was here doing it myself with people who they didn't like. I'm going to tell you a craziest story that you guys are ever going to hear was a cross country girl, and they unleashed me on her, and she wanted to beat this girl so bad, and I said, we're gonna train like animals, and I'm gonna guarantee you're gonna beat this girl and be the state champion in cross country. Her dad thought I was crazy. The track coach thought I was a little crazy, but he was like, let's do it. So I put this girl like on a program, box squatting, a wave of regular box squats, a wave of using chains, bench pressing, floor pressing, doing some chair pulls. At the time, that was big from Laura talking about doing some chair deadlifting and that sort of thing. Doing some vested jumps and all. This girl ended up putting maybe like 5-6 pounds of muscle on as a cross country girl, right? She went out to her first meet, which would probably have been 10 weeks after the fact of training her, and demolished the competition. Her dad was overwhelmed, everybody. Comes back in, we're continuing to do our training, scale down a little bit. It's in season, but we're still training pretty tough, man, pretty hard. It comes up to the big day of the race, the girl she's lost to for 3 years. She ends up beating the girl, ends up going on winning counties, winning the I'm trying to think of the big meet here. I think it's like the meet of champions, whatever. And went on the UPenn for track and all that kind of stuff. And if you would have told me back then, like, yo, Depp, you got to train this cross country girl to be like whatever, I would have told you that you were crazy. I wasn't doing that because in my world back then it was football, the powerlifters, whatever. And I just said, hell, I'm going with it. To this day, her dad lives around the corner from here. And if he sees me, he goes, chains and bands, chains, like Franks and Beans with the something about Mary.
Yeah.
He'll walk by her and go, chains and bands. I'll never forget it, coach. It's clockwork if he sees me. And all he does is talk to everybody about her training here, dude. So you can't make the shit up, man. Like you just can't make it up when people want to talk. I got a story for him. Listen, I had the #1 shot put girl here, Alyssa Wilson. The #1 girl in the country was from here. Was a stronger girl, 400 some pound squat, mid fours squat, and 225 bench. She was from here. That was raw. She was from here. 50, whatever she threw, 59 and a half senior year.
Gosh.
She's getting married now. She's double major. Took fourth in the pre-Olympic trial. I mean, dude, you can't make it up. So when people say, well, Depp, you just know football. Depp, you just know powerlifting, whatever. And then I throw all this stuff on them. I had the 100-meter champ here 4 years ago, 10.6 or whatever, 10.5. We did chain. We did 225 and big chain, which is the thickest chain, which probably weighs about 90 pounds together. We did that the night before the meet. He ran his best meet. We box squatted with chain, and you just can't make it up. So again, when people go, well, Louis did this, Louis did that, and I go, yeah, he did, and I can give you a story too about what I did. And so you tell me who's crazy. Are you crazy, or am I crazy? Because I just produced to you 4 or 5 stories from 4 or 5 different sports that excelled in the conjugate program.
Right.
I mean, like I said, you just can't. You just can't. You just can't. I mean, you just can't. I know Louis gone, the kid DiBiase, but I mean, come on, dude. I mean, high school kid, like, I mean, he came here benching like 290, and I take him to like 450 bench, man, at like 242. I mean, he's stronger than kids and people in college.
Right.
In
Right.
program. So it was like, what are you arguing here? And his numbers have went down a little bit now because he's not here. Still a pretty strong kid, but like I know that you're not going to be doing what I did with you. Or once that speed work and all goes away, and pen pressing and all, it's not going to be the same. That's just the bottom line. It's not going to be the same because it's not hitting that central nervous system, and you're not overloading like you should be. All those things we know that have to do with the conjugate training system. So I hope that answered your question, but
Oh yeah.
like I just, and I've seen more things than people know about it. I mean, there was lots of athletes through what, I look at like, I look at like you follow like Donnie's guy, the Garza, the guy who played for the Bears.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that dude's hitting like 700 box squats. He's out of the league like 10 years. What's he out of the league? And I mean, this dude could probably go play in the league still. I mean,
Right.
and he found conjugate and believes in it. He's training his kid that way. I mean, he'll see some of my stuff. He follows me and he'll be like, dude, that is awesome to see these kids. And I mean, so listen, man, the people that know, they know who's being for real, who's doing what, and they know who's fluffing nutter, and they know who's a BS artist. And unfortunately, the strength world is becoming a bunch of BS artists. And that's just the bottom. That's just the bottom line. I mean, come on, dude. Look at the NCAA now. We're wearing like bras out there to see if we're going to overheat. We're checking our caffeine in the morning. I mean, we're doing like, it's just crazy, bro. It's just crazy. If Louis was alive now, he might have hung himself, knowing what the NCAA was doing with football players right now. With the because he didn't like it back then, and I couldn't imagine now. How he thinks, but and just the longevity that this type of like powerlifting, conjugate training, whatever you want to call it, kind of excels you as a person. I mean, dude, I've bounced back from 4 surgeries now that I can tell you right now. People, I mean, people are like, that this time last year he was in a wheelchair. And then yesterday I was doing like 275 yoke bar, like box squats, and the kids are like shaking their head going, Depp's crazy. Like he was in a little jazzy last year. But this is the kind of stuff of why you bounce back.
Oh, you got muted there,
I
Depp.
think you got muted, Depp. Uh-oh.
Hey, Eddie.
No, you got
You're
it.
good.
You got it.
You're good. You got it.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, Deb, do you think part of the thing with conjugate is like, I've only been doing it, I think 4 years now, but it takes time to learn like not only do you have to have like a base education of what you're doing that I think is much higher than like a linear or block periodization, but you have to go through and figure out the variations that actually work, right? Like there is a lot of trial and error that's involved with it. It's not a simple like cut and paste type of thing that's like, this is going to get you results, where I think someone like you who has a lot of experience, you have way more knowledge to be able to apply to somebody. Whereas if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, it's going to take you way longer. And there's a longer, I think, like learning curve to make sure that it's actually going to be applicable to what you're doing. Does that seem right?
Yeah, definitely. I can go back to tell you when like I started, and because I always wasn't Coach Deppen. So someone just asked me the same question because they were actually talking about getting into powerlifting, conjugate, whatever. And really back in the Glenn Mills days, to tell you how it kind of like started and what you had to do was, so after we kind of figured out what Louis did in the season for strength training and for powerlifting at Glenn Mills was about to start, kind of everyone was given some groups, and you kind of had to, basically, back then I had like a notebook. I'd have to keep track of like some logs of workouts and, what we call today, like putting some templates together or whatever. And so I can tell you what I found that was that suited me best. And this is what I told. I think I answered this at the roundtable discussion thing I had. Was I basically knew the gist of what Westside was kind of about with the percentages and with the waves and that sort of thing. So all I did was write down a bunch of the exercises, such as box squatting, the 50%, the 55%, the 60%, maybe doing a max effort movement with a yoke bar, maybe a rack pull. And I would write down all the different like exercises, board pressing, doing speed bench. And I kind of did it how I'm doing it now was I kind of had like when would I implicate any kind of bands or chains. And I found back then, I kept it simple. I guess you could say I still kind of do. If you saw some of my templates and things like that, you'd be like, this is kind of simple how Depp has this written up. I haven't really changed that much. I keep it pretty simple. So So let's say I would have a day. Now, what I used to do also on max effort days, which used to drive Louis crazy, and I always tell everybody this, but it was just my belief. I did do back squats because I feel like the kids need them. So I would do back squats. I still do them to this day. I love box squatting for like the box squat speed day, sometimes doing max effort off the box with a different type of a bar or whatever, a specialty bar. But I do like squatting. Louis would fight me to the end on it, but I felt kids needed to squat. So if I had like a program of my speed day for benching, it'd be the warm up speed bench like 10 by 3, like 50%, followed up by like some back work, some tricep work, maybe throw in something that a kid would need. The next day was like the box squats, followed up by glute and ham, reverse hyper, throw in something that the kids need. Next day, max effort might have been the squats, working to a 3-rep max, followed up by like maybe some speed pulls or something like that, followed by the hypers, of course, always hitting those hypers in there. The next max effort day, to warm up, maybe hitting some pen presses or a some type of board, followed up by some type of flat bench variation or incline variation. There's a bunch of triceps in there, maybe like 200-300 reps of triceps through different exercises, followed up by rear delts, whatever. That was the gist, and I would just build each week off of that. I kept it simple. I kept it the templates. Some like you can always go online and find a million different templates. But I felt like what made me the strength coach who I am, to answer your question about you kind of got to know, is I found out what they were weak in, and I would build that up. Just as Louis always talked about, you can never be a good strength coach unless you can figure out what is why your athlete, your powerlifter, whatever, is not getting stronger, excelling because you're not working on those weaknesses. You got to be able as a strength coach to figure out what you need to do to get that kid stronger, him or her. And I felt like that's the hardest part for people, I think, that don't know about conjugate as much. Is I think the hardest part is in being able to recognize those weaknesses that a individual has that they need to address. Because if you do not do that, then yes, you will become discouraged with the conjugate program, as everyone does and says, and then it becomes that argument. Well, it's only good in gear. Well, it's good if you're on a bunch of tests and you're raw. It's a good program, whatever. And again, I get that argument here all the time with people, and I take them over and show them my all-time board, or I'll talk about this football kid, again, that track girl, whatever. And I said, well, they were raw and they were an athlete here, and I can tell you they weren't taking shit. So I don't know where your argument lies here. So I believe the biggest thing of trying to figure out conjugate when people really haven't been to West Side, because I know I always say it'd have been nice if everybody could have went to West Side and checked it out and learned. Yeah, you can read 1,000 books, you can read it, watch 1,000 videos. But like your guy's self, the bottom line is you got to be doing it, or you'll never be able to coach it and train anybody that way. If you're not doing the same thing, and listen, I know one day, I mean, shit, it's hard for me now with, coming off knee surgery and shoulder. I got some kind of shoulder shit going on right now on the other side now because I probably imbalanced it by the other shoulder when I tore it. But you got to be in it to be able to teach your kids, and for your kids to believe in what you're doing. You got to be able to also be practicing what you preach. I think that is 100% of conjugate. Louis, up to the day he couldn't fucking close his hands anymore, was always lifting in that weight room, and was always he had to always be doing something. I remember in my last visit there, I think Louis maybe had 225 on the bench, maybe did it like 4 times, struggled a little bit, fooled around and did some hamstring curls or something. But it was just his way of saying, I'm broke, I'm old, I'm on my way out, but I'm still here doing what I love to do. And that's why I think a lot of people in the gym, whether you loved it or hated them, you always respected them. And I don't know if that kind of answered your question, but I think definitely a lot of people are, and you got to be all in, dude. I know what I'm about to say right now. I know both you guys know. You got to be all in on when you go into this conjugate or whatever. You can't say, well, I'm board pressing. I'm happy for you. Like, you're board pressing, like that isn't okay. You do board pressing And or somebody will say, well, I do a lot of West Side stuff. I do box squats. That's all you do? Yeah, I do box squats on Tuesdays with the team, and then we do power cleans, hang cleans, leg extensions, leg curls, box jumps, calf raises, and run 15 miles after the weight room. Okay, that's not conjugate or what, that's not, so before I might have been in my first or second year here, and I used to go around to a lot of guys that I knew, or I would hook up and link up with a lot of guys that were in the strength field. And I remember going out to, I want to say Georgetown University. We do conjugate, boom, boom, boom. Georgetown University, huh? Okay. Go out, meet the dude. Now, I'm not there to be like an asshole or be a jerk. You're doing West Side. You got athletes there, whatever. Plus, Georgetown's a cool place. I'll go hang out. I'm there, and I was like, so I'm looking on the board. I start to see a program. It doesn't resemble West Side or conjugate, whatever. I'm kind of whatever. I'm looking around the room. It doesn't really resemble what a conjugate program West Side would be. So he goes, yeah, he goes, actually, a couple of the kids that are coming in now, are going to be doing some box squats and followed up with some like gluten ham or whatever. And they had like some powerlift gluten ham raises or whatever. So they come in, boxes, kid's 6 foot, he's probably on like a 17, 18-inch box. So I already see like the box is going to be pretty high. And all I see is the kid warming up, and I guess let's say he gets to 315. Dude, he might have hit that box at 150 miles an hour. Feet came off the floor, went back up, did like 4 or 5 reps, and I was just like, is this like a different variation that you're doing or whatever? The guy said, no, we're doing those Louis Simmons box squats. I went, really? I went, dude, I've never seen a box squat like that. He goes, oh, he goes, now you got to follow the videos, whatever. And I was like, I've been there like 5 years, bro. I lived there, like basically lived there. The guy's like, oh, really? We get into it and we're talking. But again, dude, that would be the same guy after I left, does that for, say, a couple months and goes, that's all bullshit. It doesn't work. But I was firsthand and saw, no, what you're doing is extremely bullshit. And now you're saying your kids aren't getting stronger. Your program's not getting any better because you're doing this bullshit. So that's where I think a lot of things hurt Louis in the strength and conditioning field because of what I just talked about, because guys were halfway in. They weren't all the way in, or they weren't even a quarter of the way in, for sure. So, and that was me going around. I saw at a lot of schools that I got to go around at, and board pressing, like hitting the board, like tapping it, and, kids helping the other guy get it off. I mean, just everything. And I'm like, and again, like, I didn't want to be like, a jerk. But I was just like, man, that's not it at all, man.
Right. Right.
Like, wow. So
is it hard to get your kids to try on their accessory work sometimes? Is that like because like accessory work to me and to you is like where you drive up the main work, right? Like those special exercises are important. And sometimes kids will, like, you catch kids just kind of going through the motion and just like kind of taking their time. And I'm like, well, this is where you really need to spend most of your intensity and effort right here. If like you don't like the results of where your lifts have been going, then like this has to be your focus right here. You got to be willing to get those last 2 or 3 reps out of this thing, or you're not going to see any of your lifts go up. Like I have a couple girls that like one of her bench press is just going through the roof, and she just dies on every accessory she can do. She's like, I'm just gonna find out what I can and can't do on every accessory. And then sure enough, whenever we go back to test, that number's gone up tremendously. And then I have other girls that kind of just like, they're over there doing their tricep stuff, they're moving through the reps, and it's like, why isn't my bench press going up? And I'm like, well, because you don't put the intensity into it that you need to. So do you fight a lot of that in your weight room? And if so, do you cut it out pretty quick and try to get kids to understand?
I do. Once they get done a couple like max effort things and or through like speed day with bands or chains, and then they go on like you said, maybe doing some Dave Tates or whatever. And it's like it's probably every day, regardless of experience, I got to correct someone, or especially a lap pull down. I mean, I've seen 75 variations this week of a lap pull down in here. Pulling it to under their neck, pulling it down all the way to. I'm just like, relax on why, and T-bar row, the same thing. Chest is off the T-bar row, and they're kind of doing like hit. So yeah, I deal with the same shit here, man, on a daily basis. I try to narrow it down because the best that I can. It does help having an assistant roaming around and that sort of thing, because he's very good at that. So yeah, it's definitely I don't. I think it's just kids that don't understand. Like you're saying, those exercises are what's going to build up what you're trying to achieve.
Right.
Tricep push downs. I mean, it's funny you're asking this because I was just talking about this. I mean, 3 or 4 of the softball girls today. I thought they were over there chopping wood. When they were, they're over there. Going down 100 miles an hour, doing 65, 70 pounds. And it's like, I'm like, girls, relax. Like, put your elbows in, relax, do the movement the right way. But I think it's just like, if it ain't, something that they got to like prepare mentally and go balls to the wall. Like, I just
Right.
don't think kids don't get it. But yeah, I deal with that too. And I try to really nip it in the butt right away. And it usually gets corrected very quickly, but it's every day though. It's every
It's
day, whether it's the football guys, the powerlifters, the kids in class. It's every day.
it's funny
Definitely.
that you say that, because like it's almost like after they do the main workout, bench or whatever, box squat, whatever they're doing, it is intensive when they do that, obviously. But then they get through that, and it's almost like, oh, thank God we survived that. Now we can take some
Yeah,
time off
yeah.
on the accessory work, But I'm like, no, you're here for an hour and a half, and you got to push the intensity. Like, it's everything you do. You just got to be willing to go all out for this amount of time and push yourself to figure out where that limit is, and then get out of here and come back and do it again. I'm like, nothing about anything you do when you step foot in my weight room is going to be easy. Like, that's not the point. It's hard. It's always going to be hard. But if you just, like you said, if they're over there just kind of fra la 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 and doing their thing, it's never going to get them to where they want to go, for sure.
Yeah, nah, the gluten ham is like a social hour. Like the gluten ham or like the reverse hyper, forget
Oh
about it.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
Um,
That was funny. I had some kids.
the clock has worked with the movement, but also, like I said, I got to pay attention if they're trying to hurry up now
Yep, yep.
because they're looking at the clock.
There's some kids with some bigger squats, and I looked over there and I'm like, they don't have enough weight on that reverse hyper for what I need them to be doing. And they were kind of talking and just swinging it, and I'm like, what do we do? Because it's the end of the workout, and they're like, what are you guys doing? Like, you're just kind of swinging that thing. You're not really taking it seriously, and you guys only got a plate on here. Like, a plate on each side? Like, that's the minimum. That's what entry level stuff is. Like, that's where you
Yeah.
start at. What are you doing? So they're like, oh, we're tired, but I'm like, okay, well, if you're tired, just go home. Like, I don't get out of here. Like, I'm not gonna do this crap. Like, you're either gonna do it right or you're gonna get out. So it's just, kids are hard sometimes. You got to keep your thumb on them.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. I think we all deal with that for sure. It's not always, it's not always glorious, that's for sure.
No,
Some days are a
far
pain in
from
the
it.
ass, no
Far
doubt.
from it. Those glorious days they're few and far between.
Yeah, for
Alex,
sure.
Alex, you got anything?
Dep with the powerlifting team, because everybody says conjugates only for equipped lifting. How many powerlifters do you have that are equipped, and how many are raw? And when you're coaching them, what are some of the differences that you see, or do you keep everything the same for both?
So let me think of let me look at my list here real quick. I can tell you about raw, whatever. So right now I currently have 4 in gear and the rest are all raw. So how I break that down, Alex, is most of my kids who are truly powerlifters, they'll probably be this girl, will be in gear. My true powerlifters, I'll put in single ply gear. Athletes stay raw. Because I know most of them who were my athletes, such as my ballers, the next level, they're probably going to take more criticism than praise if they're in single ply. So I kind of try to, you know, keep all the athletes raw basically. I got a lacrosse kid who's going to be a scholarship kid. He's raw, and then all the rest are basically football guys. Now someone may surprise me who's um raw right now, who's a kind of a newbie, and they start doing well. I may put them in gear. I kind of put a gauge on it where I see their numbers at. Um, so that's kind of how to work the raw and putting it in single ply. Um, Also, if I think about it, Alex, is who I think will benefit from it. Who will maybe get hurt from it? Meaning it just ain't for them. I mean, I've had kids who've put on like a squat suit and all, and like it's been disastrous. All because they just don't have that mindset to be in that gear. So it's really not. So I kind of can gauge a lot of kids that way. I kind of know how they're going to be. So that's one of my ways of figuring out who I'm going to have, and out of my, let's say, 20 kids on the team, who I'm going to have in gear, who's going to, like, all the softball girl. I mean, what you call it? I let the Kurth girl who took Jules down go gear, because Jules was gear, because she handled it very well and did very well in gear. Her sister may be in gear this year. Her younger sister will be a senior. I may let her get in gear to try like that 315 deadlift at 123 pounds. So do I change up the training? The training only changes when we get near meet time, and the only difference is they're going to be in their gear, straps down, bench press to boards, maybe some straps down, straps up pulls in the deadlift, block pulls. So that goes my statement I'm about to make to you. So that's really my only difference in the training, is they're gonna get ready to be in the gear, but everything else is probably going to stay the same pretty much, except for they're going to be gear ready. So when people, this is what I was going to say. I get a lot of people when they say, well, coach, you got that powerlifting team over there and you got some athletes on that, like all you know is powerlifting. I go, is that true? Is that for real? And they go, yeah, that's how you're perceived. I go, okay. I go, so this is what happens. We're all doing these. I'm going to use the football guys in here right now. They're all pretty much doing the same program that these football guys would be doing if they were on the powerlifting team right now. They'd all be doing pretty much the same program that they're doing right now. And then I always tell people, I go, you know what the only difference between strength training and powerlifting is? Come about week 7 or 8, I'm going to put some knee wraps on, some knee sleeves, or some single ply gear on the people I put it on. And we're just going to train it just a little bit different, just to get us prepared for a meet. But we're all training the same, except for the guys who are football players are going to go to a powerlifting meet. And we're going to go in front of judging, and we're going to try to hit a PR, break a record, do whatever. That's the only difference. But when we come back on Monday after the meet, we're going to go back and do a template just like you're doing a template right now. The only difference is we're going to a powerlifting meet. Same with these girls. Why are these softball girls powerlifting? They're not powerlifting. They're strength training. The only thing that separates them from strength training and powerlifting is, like I said, those last couple of weeks where we're going to get ready to go out to a meet and perform. And people just sit there and they go, huh, never really thought of it that way. I go, it's pretty simple. And then people really don't got much to say, because it's just the truth, you know? And that was my biggest thing here for many years, Alex, was, oh, he's just a big bonehead powerlifting guy, whatever. I'm not sending my girls there. I'm not sending whatever, this and that. And luckily for me, in my early years, I had a girl named Jana who came onto the team, was a cheerleader, who became my phenom, went to Texas for powerlifting. And she was a 114-year-old bombshell. Fantastic student, fantastic person who gave into the community, very pretty girl, and stayed 114 pounds all 4 years. She left here. She's still on my top number on the board at 114. 275 squat, 145 or 155 bench, and a 315 deadlift at 114. So all the girls were like, wow. I went, and so as far as the females, and she was a cheerleader. So then all of a sudden the girl's like, I want to do what that girl's doing. Like she looks good and she's strong. And then it just progressed from there. So again, it's all stereotypes for one. That's what people are really trying to say to you when it comes gear to raw to powerlifting to strength training. It's just a stereotype, the bottom line. I mean, come on. But when I mention, if I'm talking to somebody and I go, yeah, well, I was out at Westside for a while. Oh, it's like I just stabbed a dude and shot him in his head. Like, did he really just say that word, Westside? So, that's what's funny about it. And, but again, they can't knock it because just the results. So, that's my only change. If that answer your question is that like, we're just getting, somebody in a shirt. I'm working that shirt a little bit more, Alex. I'm working that suit a little bit if they're struggling to get down in the squat or learning to sit back a little more in the suit. I'm gonna take a little bit more time with that. But let's say the raw guy has a 3x2 with some knee wraps on or knee sleeves. The guy in gear might go straps down with his knee wraps on for his 3x2. And so it's going to be the same thing except for one's in gear and one isn't. And that's the only difference with my guys and girls. That's it. So.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. So another one I just experienced. I when I first started following you, I was like, man, how's Depp have so many haters? Like, what the hell's going on here? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And then I went and did that national meet, and I won, and I acquired. It's like an Xbox achievement. I acquired haters, and they're just talking mad shit about me online. And I'm like, what the fuck did I even do? All I did was go and compete. And so with success comes these things. How do you train the kids to be able to handle things like that, to where they're going to have the naysayers and they're going to have the people putting them down for doing something positive?
So it's funny you say that because a lot of the kids who, like I said, are the ballers will go somewhere and they'll talk about their numbers, they'll talk about their lifting, and a lot of them will say our coach is West Side. That's what they'll say, our coach is West Side, whatever. And they'll catch a lot of like shit for it, whatever. And the kids, some of them can take it with a grain of salt and it kind of explain themselves. Some kids get a little like which is when you're recruiting a kid, it's kind of stupid to talk about the strength coach. Let's be for real, because I'm gonna tell you not to go there once that happens. But we all know that there's really nobody doing what I'm doing here in college. I mean, you're gonna go and do an NSCA workout. Let's be for real. So I get it. But I think when they acquire the haters, success shuts people up, bro. And that, again, that's all I can say. It's that results don't lie and success don't lie. It just shuts people up. I like you guys are in that place I was at one time, and where I'm at now is like, like I just laugh about it all with the hater. Like when I got you would have thought people would have been praising me even at some of the sports here at my school. We're kind of like, oh, he'll never shut up about that strength coach of the year now. I mean, you would think they would be like, hey, congratulations, or, but also out in the world, it was like, got these haters from getting the award. Plus, like I said, like go to a meet, kid does real well, whatever, and you just acquire, it's not hatred, bro. It's called jealousy. Is what it really is. People are just jealous of your achievements. They just know they would like to be where you're at, but they're not willing to put the work in. Like, I've been here a long time, dude. I've been through 50 coaches. I've been through 50 staff members of teachers that were here. I've been trying to be fired 100 times. You name it, it's happened to me here. It's absolutely insane that I'm sitting here in a, huge office with a TV about to be installed and a 50-foot TV, about the 50-inch TV installed, uh, everything that I want, this great weight room, and just to say, I can sit here at the desk right now and say I made it. And I went through a lot, a lot, man. But the reason why people hate is this jealousy, man, because I'm sitting here and I'm still striving. I'm still wanting to be the best. Like I can't sit back like you're talking about. You're talking about the tricep push downs. My windows are actually. It's kind of funny. They're actually tenant in the office here, so it's hard to see out with the lights on because I got them all darkly tenant, so kids can't see in. And like if I was to look out and kind of see like we're talking about, like a kid like probably like doing like a half-ass lap pull down or doing whatever, I'm probably gonna go jetting out this door during our meeting and go, dude, you're kidding me, right? Like and get in and shit about it. And it's just because like I care. And that's the part that you're talking about, those people, they would sit there and chew on a Three Musketeer bar and drink a Diet Coke and be looking at and be like, I really don't give a shit. And that's the difference between champions and losers. That's the bottom line, man. That's just the bottom line. Because I've lived it and I've seen it. So that's why I always say on my stuff, stay hated. like Anthony, like stay hated. I put up there about me and my coach the other day on the story, stay hated. Sid Vicious and Cactus Jack. I mean,
Yeah, there you go.
like people hate us together. They hate us, like, and it's just great because he talks about me when he wins the game or whatever. I won the award and I had to give like a little talk about it. I talked about him and his commitment to the weight room. I mean, and people just hate it because two successful people and they just hate it. And like I said, you know, when I was at that school, Glen Mills, granted, it was a bunch of crazy kids, man, that were, criminals and delusional and whatever you want to call it. But man, I mean, they worked their ass off. And when we showed up at a game or we showed up at a powerlifting meet, like 50, 60 dudes getting off a bus, like it was business. And you talk about haters, bro. We go in the meet and go 1, 2, 3, every weight class, every division, and just leave there. I mean, you might as well just took the hardware, all the trophies, and put them in the bus before the meet. And you talk about haters, but it was like we knew that we were just out working everybody, bro. No one was doing what we're doing. No one was on like, dude, I'm telling you, the 99% of kids who are here right now and around this area, like when you talk to the kids, like you guys lifted it, or like, nah, we lift Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday sometimes. Like that's mind boggling to me. It's mind boggling. And, you know, and so when we do win the big game and I'm kind of chirping a little bit, is because I know that I was here putting the work in while their guy was out on the beach on a Friday. He was out on the beach hanging out, and I had the kids come in from 9 to 11 o'clock and lift weights, and then I went out to the beach. But I made sure I got in 9 to 11, get their lift in, and then I go out to the beach or whatever I want to do or whatever the kids want to do. And that that's what you're experiencing, man. It's only gonna get worse. It's only more success you're gonna have. It's only gonna get worse.
Good.
You're at that
Good.
new school, you start winning, start turning around that new school that you're at, whatever. They're gonna find
Yeah.
something to hate you on. They're gonna find a loophole somewhere, like, oh, he's doing some type of conjugate training. He thinks he's like this tough guy now or
Nah,
whatever at this school.
these people
That's what
around
you're gonna
here,
hear, man.
they ain't got
It's
no
crazy.
clue. They don't even know. They couldn't tell you what a piece of dirt compared to a strength and conditioning program is. They don't have a clue around here, man. But you're right though. People will start to talk about why or what's this happening. Like why is Alex winning these things? What's he's doing different? And the noise gets loud.
And I think it's awesome, dude, because like you're practicing, like you said, I'm practicing what you preach. You're doing it, like you're doing it, and it's it's just awesome. And to go on I think a big thing in our profession right now, whether it's in play up or whatever, I think a big thing going on is like, somebody can total 2,000 pounds and do whatever. It doesn't make you a strength coach. It doesn't make you like all of a sudden now you can bring 15 people into the room and I think that's like a huge thing that's killing the industry is the guy goes out or whatever, has this like great meet, and all of a sudden, like now he's online coaching or he's opened up a place and he's claiming this or claiming that. There's a lot more to being a strength coach than being strong. That's for damn sure. Um, I'm way better strength coach than I am a power lifter, probably as I was an athlete, all because of the time and the effort and the and the sacrifices that you got to make to be a strength coach. I mean, hell, I can go out. I guarantee you right now, I can go out and put a helmet on and shoulder pads and tackle our running back in 3 seconds. All right, that's like a given. That's something I know I can do. If you told me, hey, Depp, I'm sending in 40 girls from the equestrian team, we got to get them ready for a big time equestrian show in like 3 months. I'm gonna be like, what? Like, I'm gonna have to think about that. I'm gonna have to game plan that. I'm gonna have to see what would work for that. And that's the part that I think a lot of people like. I think that's the part that a lot of people like miss out on is the part where you gotta think about what your next move is going to be. It's just not going to happen. You got to think about what that next move is going to be, and how you're going to do it. Um, I guess goes back again. You're asking me some change. That's why I'm saying here, like maybe be a little more. I'm actually looking into doing the team builder thing, but like in a conjugate way. The team builder, put it up on the screen or keep some. My principal said if I wanted, she would get it for me. But like the guy Eddie, he's like that computer guy. Here's here's the workouts on paper, man. Put that in the computer for Fred Flintstone here, and hook that up for me. But that's just a level to go at and be at, just to be a little more proficient, a little more if you want to say professional, whatever you want to say. But I mean, again, I want to be at that stage now where I did what I did. And I just said, this is how we do it. To now, I want people to know and learn why we're doing what we're doing. And plus, like I said, if the principal or somebody came down and said, hey, can I see some of your workout, your paperwork, the kids progressing, whatever, I got to be able to produce that.
Right.
But I'm excited for that challenge, for that next level, to be a little bit, if you came here right now and looked, I got like 10 workouts all over the desk, names of what the projected maxes are, who's maxing out in August on the board. Like, I got all that down, but like, it's all written on some paper and all over the place, but that's what makes guys like us good, because we're that guys. We're not just a programming. I don't really know how to say it. I know you know what I'm saying, but I'm not like Professor Peabody or whatever, trying to put something together to make it scientific or whatever. We're here to get strong, man, and lift weights. That's the bottom line. I'm here to produce. I'm here for these guys and girls to be the best they can. Like at that softball, when those girls hit a home run or whatever, and it's 300 feet over the fence or whatever, and it's a bomb, and I go, yeah, and I just clench my fist, and it's just a great feeling. And they all point right to me when they get home at home plate. I'm always in the middle of the outfield, and they point right at me or whatever. It's just awesome. Football, the same thing. Like, Depp, you see me flatten him, I pancaked him. Maryland, my ass. I should be going to Maryland. That's an awesome feeling. Like that's just an awesome feeling. So that, and to go back to everything we're talking about, the whole gist of what everything that the quest is, you just want everybody to get stronger. You want everybody to stay healthy. You want everybody to get stronger. Of course, we want mobility and we want all those great things, flexibility. But everybody's main goal is to be as strong as you possibly can be and to stay healthy. It's the bottom line. All this stuff is added bonuses or whatever, because not everybody's going to be able to achieve those other kind of things we're talking about. Some will and some won't. I got a kid, I guarantee you, if he squats below parallel by senior year, they should put a statue outside here of me, because he just his development of his torso, his hips, whatever, it just is not friendly to him at all. And I'm still trying to figure it out. He's getting better, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. He's a sophomore, and we're going to see what happens by the time He's 15 and he's 6'5" and he's 200 pounds with a size 17 shoe. Um, we'll see. We'll see what happens, but it's every day I'm here trying to figure out that kid. Whereas I just talked about people we're talking about, they would be sitting here eating a Three Musketeer with a Diet Coke. Me, I'm thinking about when I go home at night, how I'm going to get that kid to squat below parallel and to get into a stance for football because coach said I need him to back up the tackle this year. So I got to figure that out. And goes back to what you said 20 minutes ago. You're going to be hated. You're going to be hated because you work, man. That's why you're going to be hated, because you care. Because I can guarantee you that people that hate, like I said, are having a Miller Lite, a steak with their feet up. And I'm at home trying to figure out how to get this kid I call Biggie to squat below parallel and get down in a football stance.
Yeah,
And that's going to be on my mind all night, how to do that.
Oh yeah. I lose sleep over the people always like, oh, you don't lose, like those kids are successful like you do, you're doing great. Like, I'm like, yeah, but what about this kid over here that didn't hit this or didn't do that? Or like, that's the kid that I'm concerned about. Like, how do we get him going? How do we get him moving up? What's the next thing for them? Like, that's the stuff that I lose sleep over. Like, yeah, the PRs and stuff are cool and those are going to come, but man, what about that kid that, is bothering him or that's bothering him? How do I fix that kid? Those things run through my head a ton. So, but that goes back to what you're saying. You care. You want the best results for those kids. And I have a ton of respect for that. So,
Especially like a kid where like his max maybe goes down or he doesn't have a good max out day, like 6-7 weeks after a cycle. And you're like, and I mean, that's like, sometimes it's mind boggling to me because I'm like, well, he looked like he was doing good. And I mean, let's say a kid does 185. Like, what was your max last time again? 195, coach. And I'm like, oh. And then, dude, it bothers me. Where
right.
some people was like, well, you should work harder. You just suck. That would be,
Right.
we call me and Donnie and everybody calls them poppies. With the collar popped up, walking around the room. That would probably be like a poppy answer. Like, oh, you need to get strong. You need to be more focused. You need to whatever. I take credit for it, like, man, I kind of like failed this kid or whatever. Like, man, like his numbers kind of went down. I thought he was doing better. What could I do in this program to make, what could I do to make it better? I mean, again, and that's why it goes back to the other thing. I think the kids buy in because they see that you care. And usually a kid like that, I'll talk to him like, yo, I got this, bro. Don't worry. We're gonna get your numbers up. And the kid will say, well, I think I lost some weight that maybe that's, and they kind of start taking a little bit of the blame or trying to make an excuse for it. And usually I cut them and say, it's not your deal, man. Like we could probably put a little more intensity behind it, but I'm gonna fix out and see what's going on. We're going to get that bench up.
Right.
And sometimes it's just a matter of like, what, like some of the lifts or whatever, like they're sometimes they're tough, man. Like maybe the kid did 185, a month or two ago and he's doing 185 again because it just didn't move. Like, like you're gonna beat yourself up over that. I mean, it didn't go down. It just didn't go up. But his deadlift went from 315 to 365. So,
There you go. Yeah.
so I guess like I said, like I'm just, saying like that's what separates the good coaches from the coaches that are just there, is the ones that kind of care about, like, if the results aren't there, your work isn't, I talk about how we lost to Bergen Catholic when I thought we had our best team 2 years ago, and we lost to the number one team in the state, number 5 team in the country, Bergen Catholic, and we lost like 38 to like 7 or something, and we're riding home on the bus, and I said, the head coach, I go, yeah, man, I don't know what I could have done different, man, like that, and he's like, are you kidding me? And I went, nah, man. And he goes, dude, if we didn't have you or this program, it would have been 65 to nothing. He goes, we went toe to toe with the number one team in the state, number 5 team in the country. For 4 quarters, we went toe to toe. He goes, I couldn't be more happier what you're doing in the weight room, man. And I was just like, it sounded good, but I still wasn't happy about it.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yep.
It was a compliment, but it was like, yeah, but like, and look, man, and in that case, when people say, well, what happened, man? Like you guys were, killing people and whatever. They had dogs, man. They had a lot more dogs than us. They had a lot more kids on the sideline. They had a lot more, athletes. And, you know, we just couldn't hang anymore, and that's just the game of football, the game of life. But again, you still take it hard that, um, a loss like that when you're rolling, and a Cinderella story to, I mean, we were kind of picked like 51-0 or whatever. And actually, at the beginning, before the game, the guy goes, "Where's the school even from?" I never even heard from him. I mean, so you want to win those Cinderella story games, but there'll be another time, another place.
Right.
Hopefully, that's my goal here. For a lot of people ask me, what do you want to leave there with? One of my goals is a state championship for football. Is one of my goals here, most definitely. Was very close a couple times. So hopefully, next time, we can win it. So again, that's probably like one of my goals here, most definitely.
Well, it sounds like you have the right coach, and we know you're the you're a great coach, and so I think both of you obviously working together sounds like a good recipe. But um, I have faith in it'll happen. I don't even know what kind of dogs you got in the stable or horses you got in the stable, but man, I just know how you are, and it sounds like you have a great working relationship with the football coach. So hey, I don't have any doubt in it. That's for dang sure.
Yeah, we'll see. We're gonna see for sure. Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
absolutely. Alex, you got anything else for Mark here, my man?
Not at the moment. Thank you very much, Mark, for the time and the insight and everything. Really appreciate you.
No, yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it. It's always real, man. And like I said, it's funny. Like I felt like from the last podcast or before, it was a lot of like the past and whatever, and I feel like now we're like at that future or whatever, the present to moving forward, kind of like that life after Louis, I guess, life after West Side or whatever. And I think it's funny to see how the times kind of change a little bit. But again, I was asked that question about, do you forget, or have you kind of like, I don't never forget. Um, I'll never forget the time I got to spend there, the relationships I got to have. And again, I'm where I am today, kind of all because of Louis Simmons, people around Louis, people that are some influential people from West Side. Again, the stat, my um, so I'm just blessed. So but yeah, I think it is a point in my life where it's time to kind of move forward, and just be the best possible person I can be and the best possible coach I can be for the next, say, 5 to 10 years of my, probably my time here, my time here before I probably, have a Milky Way, a Diet Coke, and sit on the beach.
Perfect. That's a perfect ending
Uh,
to the career, I believe. Well,
yeah, right.
Mark,
So,
thank you again so
okay.
much. We appreciate your time. We love having you on. You're always awesome to talk
Yep,
to.
I appreciate it, man. It's great. It's a great thing. So hope you guys be able to come down here one time again when I do a little roundtable thing, because that was actually really good. I've actually got a lot of requests to do another one because people couldn't make it. Um, and it really got to see where everybody's background was and stuff. So it was pretty cool. And now some people are doing. I know Monty Sparkman out in Texas was, having one. I was like, oh, you taking my format away or whatever. And again, I kind of got it off of Dave Tate
Yeah.
having like his round table with a couple guys out, and I was like, I think that's the way to go. But it was good because I got to, the people I had here, I got to, build friendships with now and some relationships, but also got to see their background. I didn't really know much about them, and I got to kind of see how they got into the strength field, and kind of see they were athletes and that sort of thing. So, and a lot of people had you know some grief and some gripes in their life that built them into the person that they were. So that was pretty cool to see too,
I'm
because we
hoping
don't know everybody's background all the time,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
so that was pretty cool. But so yeah, so hopefully you guys, you're out there, but one day can get in here, or I can get out there. What's
Yeah.
that big concert out there by the Rocks? Are you by that where it's in the Rock Stadium? What's that called? Red something? Is there like a big
Yeah.
concert out there somewhere in
Yeah, Red
Colorado?
Rocks. It's a amphitheater that's
Yeah.
built into the side of the mountain. Basically,
Yeah.
it's just natural. I go there like once a
Yeah.
month. So anytime you want to
Yeah.
come out,
Yeah, someone was talking about it, and I was like, I know a guy.
I'm actually
And of
going to see
course, everybody's like,
Santana
of
at the end
course
of the
you
month.
do.
So that'll be cool.
Well,
Yeah.
that'll be
What-
sweet.
Yeah, that
Santana.
is.
Yeah. So
Wow. Yeah. So I'm sure we'll cross paths somewhere. And like I said, good luck to both of you, and wish you the best, and just keep doing what you're doing, and stay hated, hurt feelings, and move forward, my man. I
yeah, thanks,
appreciate
man.
you
Best
guys.
of luck to you too. I can't
Thanks,
wait to see
Mark.
what you produce this year.
Peace out, man. Peace out.
See you, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
All right.